Welcome to The Debrief, where we talk with the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the headlines they're covering and where the story's going next. I'm Sarah Bedford, and I'm here with Chief Political Correspondent Byron York. And Byron, you wrote in one of your daily memos this week about something I hadn't actually heard about beforehand, which was that the ACLU, of all groups, a typically left-wing organization, has come to Donald Trump's defense in the special counsel's criminal case against him. Tell us about what they're doing there.
An unexpected development. As you know, Judge Chutkan, this is the federal January 6th case. You know, since Trump has been indicted 4 times, we have to specify which one it is. So it's the January 6th case, a federal case. And the judge slapped Trump with a gag order. And then the Trump defense said, look, this is unconstitutional, we're going to challenge this. And then she suspended it for a little while and asked them both to submit briefs and saying, you know, so the Trump people submitted a brief saying this is terrible, and Jack Smith, the special counsel, submitted a brief saying it should be even tougher. But, you know, outside groups submit, you know, friends of the court briefs, and the ACLU submitted one on behalf of Trump saying that the gag order was unconstitutional. It was unconstitutionally broad, and basically it infringed on Donald Trump's First Amendment rights. It doesn't matter that he's the defendant, he's got First Amendment rights. And it pointed out something that's just true about this. They said this is maybe the most talked about trial in the history of the world, and are you going to say that the defendant is the only person who can't talk about it? So they argued that it was unconstitutionally broad. I think there probably would be okay with a much narrower, more focused thing, saying, well, you know, you can't talk about Jack Smith's family, or you can't do something like that. But as it stands, they think it's unconstitutional.
That argument you mentioned, I thought, was one of the more interesting points that the ACLU made, was that there's virtually no way that any jury is going to come into this without having some idea about the case. Do you think that it is a sort of inevitability here, though, when we think about how he's getting prosecuted in a liberal area and everyone's kind of has an opinion on this? Do you think it's inevitable then that he's heading towards a conviction in some of these?
Well, he's going to be tried in the District of Columbia.
Right. That's
not good if you're a Republican defendant, and if you're Trump, that's, you know, crazy. Now, you know, the first indictment against him, the local indictment in Manhattan, he's going to be tried in Manhattan, and then he's going to be tried in the District of Columbia, and then he's going to be tried in Fulton County, Georgia, and then he's going to be tried in Florida for the documents case. You could say in 3 of those, all 3 except Florida, he's going to be facing hostile jury pools. There's just no doubt about that. And you could almost look at this as a case in which all of the prosecutors, if you just think of them all as sort of one team, even though there's a Georgia, you know, county prosecutor, and there's a Manhattan prosecutor, and there's a federal prosecutor, it's as if they created a quadruple redundant system, so that if one doesn't get him, the other will. I mean, he's been indicted 4 times. It's hard to see him getting off on all of them.
The likelihood of him beating all 4.
Exactly.
Let's move on to another sort of mess for Republicans. It's just finally over. The leadership drama in the House has produced a Speaker, Mike Johnson. Do you think that this is a sort of overall improvement for Republicans? I mean, have they improved their legislative future?
I don't know. I mean, is Mike Johnson more skilled at keeping the Republican coalition together than Kevin McCarthy was? Obviously, Johnson is far less experienced than McCarthy was in a number of things. That is, just running the Republican conference and fundraising and doing all the things that a speaker does. On the other hand, they booted McCarthy, so that was out of there. And they went through just really embarrassing spasms trying to find a speaker. Once they did, they decided to all unite behind Johnson, and Johnson gave a very graceful speech. He really acquitted himself very well taking office on Wednesday. Does that mean he's going to be a good speaker? I don't know. The 8, what McCarthy called the crazy 8, who joined with the Democrats to eject McCarthy from the speakership, they're all on board right now. So does that mean that Johnson is going to do all the fiscal responsibility things that they wanted, or maybe that means it was just all personal with McCarthy anyway. We don't know, but I think Johnson's a very able legislator. He's never been anywhere close to Speaker of the House. He hasn't actually been in the House that long. He got elected for the first time in 2016, and so he's been in 6 years. McCarthy had been in 16 years before he became Speaker. He's been a little more now, and we'll see.
Well, Byron, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
You can get more writing from Byron by signing up for his newsletter, Byron York's Daily Memo, at washingtonexaminer.com.